Sorry for the delay. I just had some technical issues with my laptop and my presentation, so I hope it did not take a lot of our time. But welcome everyone to our session this evening. We are now in law number 4, which is the law of reflection. Now, the law of reflection says learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. So, wait. All right, it's now working. Um, in this session tonight, we will be looking at the power of reflection. Many of us, because of the busyness of life, because of, you know, too many activities, just focus on the activity itself. So we're busy preparing, we're busy with the details, but um, we fail to look back, we fail to reflect, we fail to process, and we fail to mine or to get a valuable lesson that can turn into wisdom that we can pass on to others. Okay, so this is what this session is all about. We're so busy, we're so overwhelmed with activities left and right, here and there, that we think that reflection or pausing and processing it and um, getting lessons out of the experiences that we have is just a waste of time. So that's what many of us feel about reflection. So probably many of you are not very, you know, optimistic that maybe I will not be able to learn a lot tonight because reflection is just, a waste of time. So that's one of the enemies of this law. The idea that it's not worth it. The idea that you will not get much out of it. But reflection holds incredible power, and this is what we will uncover tonight. It's the act of pausing to check in with yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. And by doing this, you can learn from the past. Okay. So maximize your learnings from your experiences. Make sense of your emotions because we are emotional beings. In fact, many of you know that in this modern times, modern world, the IQ is not just what matters. In fact, many people would say IQ is important, but an equally important factor in a person's life is the emotional um, uh, um, i- we call it emotional intelligence. Okay, being able to acknowledge, being able to know how to manage your emotions, being able to know how to deal with other people's emotions, and that's what makes powerful leaders when they are emotionally intelligent. And then to adjust our actions for a better future. So this is what will lead us to better decision making, to better management and leadership in the future. So reflection is one of the most important tools that we have, okay, as leaders. It tells us where we've been, where we are now, and where we're headed. So this is very important. So what we are going to learn this evening is very important. So be ready with your workbook, with your notes, so that you can list down. There will be plenty of aha moments tonight, plenty of realizations, plenty of quotes that you will realize, yes, this is what I really need in my life right now. So the power of pausing. By the way, I made this easier for you. So those blanks that you see in your workbook are now in color green and underlined, so that you will find it easier to answer your worksheets. So the power of pausing. what does pausing, reflecting, okay, what power does it hold? Reflection turns experience into insights. Okay, that's what reflection does. When you pause, when you reflect, or for many of us, we call it when you meditate, when you think it over, when you mine those experiences, it turns into insights. And insights eventually, okay, will become wisdom, the wisdom that we will be able to share with other people. So that means as we grow older, as we grow more mature, as we climb up our leadership ladders, whatever that is, as we embrace more leadership roles, it is important that we are full of wisdom. And where does that wisdom come from? Now, many people will say experience is the best teacher. Do you agree? Do you agree? So this is many of us have heard this from ever since when we were young. Experience is the best teacher. But is it really? Is it true? Experience is the best teacher? Okay. The answer is experience is not the best teacher, but evaluated experience is the best teacher. When your experience is evaluated and turned into insights so that it becomes wisdom, then that becomes the best teacher. Not just any experience. We have plenty of experiences every day. Can you imagine? Every day we are alive. We have plenty of experiences, but not all those important experiences are turned into insights and turned into wisdom. Only those which are evaluated, only those which we reflect on and eventually turn into insights or wisdom. Now, we have to understand that there is what we call front end and back end thinking. So, what is front end thinking? Front end is the preparation, while the back end is the reflection. Say, for example, you you have an activity, okay? You plan for an activity, so you prepare, so you put in the planning, the effort, everything, and then the activity happens many times. That's it. When the activity ends, there's no post evaluation, there is no reflection, there is no debriefing. Okay, for some, it's called debriefing. There is no post activity sessions that will somehow ask the questions: what went right? What went wrong? How can we improve? How can we make it better the next time? So many of us are guilty of that. We are busy preparing, and then after the activity, there's no reflection. There's no looking back and asking ourselves, hey, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What could we improve next time? And so many times, especially in programs or activities or even our experience, we keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again because there was no reflection, there was no pausing, there was no post evaluation, there was no taking of the main takeaways, main lessons to remember, so that we can pass it on to others based on what we've experienced. Now, everyone needs a time and place to pause or to reflect. Okay, so this is the question. Um, do you have a time and place where and when you can reflect? Okay. So pausing is very important because it allows us to make sure that we are on the right track. Okay. So many of us, again, are too busy. You're just doing everything left and right, busy, busy, busy bees, busy bodies. But if someone is going down the wrong path, he doesn't need motivation to speed up. He needs to stop. So sometimes this is us. This is we. We're just too busy. Okay, we're just too come on, let's hurry up. But we have failed to realize that we are going on a wrong direction. And what could have saved us from wasting our time, wasting our effort, all that trouble is if we should have stopped, we should have paused and realized, hey, this is not the right path. Okay. We need to go back and um, go to the right way. So that's why pausing is very important. But the main lesson here in this point is you need to have a time and place where you can reflect. So this is intentional. That means we talk about intentional growth. We talk about making sure that you have it. But if I ask you tonight, do you have a specific place where you think, where you reflect? Or is there a specific time that you do it? Many of us don't. Many of us just, may probably when before going to sleep. But many effective and successful leaders can attest that when they have this place where they intend to just think, they don't do anything in that place, then they have the time to reflect and to meditate. Now here you see a calendar, okay? So sometimes we are too busy. In fact, right now, how many of you realize that we are on the second month of the year? Okay. So what have we accomplished for January? Okay, have you thought about that? What have we done? Did we accomplish what we should be accomplishing based on our goal for the whole year? So maybe we haven't thought about it much. Maybe we just say, okay, whatever, whatever happens, whatever. So that means we are not actually reviewing what we have been doing so far. Are we going on the right track? Are we growing? So many times we just don't um, review. Many effective leaders would do year-end evaluation of their lives. So they would take, say, 5 days off, okay, just to look at every month, what have I accomplished this month? So this has been my goal for the whole year. So what have I done? What are the people that I need to see less? What are the things that I should do less? What are the things that I should do more to be more effective? So when you have a time and place to reflect, then you can do some what we call um, halftime adjustments. Okay. So in a game, for example, you have a game plan. So if you're a coach, for example, for a basketball team or for any sports, you have a game plan. Your plan is to win the game, right? But along the game, along when the game is going on, you the a good coach would see that hey, things are not going the way we expected it, so they have to make some halftime adjustments. Now that is the same with our own lives. Sometimes we plan to do this, but because we fail to reflect, we fail to see that there should be some halftime adjustments that we should do or that we should have to ensure our victory or the win. Okay. So it's very important. Okay. Having that time and place, having uh, that place where you just reflect is important. Now, may I share with you? I'm not very effective in reflecting or in meditating when I sit down. Okay, that's me. Okay, maybe I have maybe I am undiagnosed ADHD or something. But what I found out many years now is when I take a walk, okay, early morning or late at night or after dinner, especially if I'm alone, that's when I process information. That's when I process my experiences. That's when I process um, things that ordinarily I would not be able to uncover gems or golds or or something precious out of that experience. And I realized that leadership is not really about meetings. When you are in the meeting and the leader would speak and the leader would, it's about, it's when the leader will begin to reflect on what he said, on his decisions, on how he dealt with his coworkers or superiors, with his people. That's when you process it. Okay, that's very very productive, and I know that, no, because every time, especially when I prepare for a sermon, I prepare for a message or a preaching, when I need to, um, you know, meditate on something, I would take a walk. Okay. I would take a walk, and then suddenly my mind would shift into that meditation mode or that thinking mode. Okay. Especially if I intentionally prepare, or this is what I'm going to think about in this 30-minute walk. Now, that's me. Okay. So that's, I think you also have to realize that we are different. And some people, they have a corner. Some people, they have a table. Some people, they have a chair. Some people, they do it late at night or early morning. Just have a time and place where you can reflect. That's the point. Okay. So if you're like me, you think better when you walk, uh, then you just have to do it. Okay. You will think good thoughts if you have a place to do it. Okay. So this is very important. You will think good thoughts if you have a place to do it. Okay. I remember a story about a man. Uh, a friend was, joking to him. He said, "I'm gonna bet that in 1 year you will buy a bird." So that man says, "No, I'm not gonna buy a bird." Okay. But of course, it's just a story. So the friend who tried to bet said, "Okay, but there's a condition. I will buy you a bird cage, and I will put it in a very prominent place in your house, and I will guarantee you that in 1 year you will buy a bird." So the man said, "No, I'm not gonna buy a bird." So what happened was the friend bought a very expensive and nice bird cage and put it in the front door, in the porch of that person. So people start coming in and they would say, "Wow, what a very beautiful bird cage. Where did you buy it? Wow, it's the best bird cage I've ever seen." And the follow-up questions would be, "Where's the bird? Okay, where's your bird?" I mean, so the man would say, "Oh no, I don't have a bird. I just have a bird cage." Then some people would wonder, then what's that bird cage for? Why did you have it in the first place? And then some people would say, "Oh, did the bird die? Or did the bird, escape?" So the man had to he had to explain, "No, no, the bird did not die, the bird did not escape. I just don't have a bird." So that kept on happening. And on the seventh month, you know what happened? The man bought a bird. The man bought a bird because he had a bird cage, a place where he would put a bird. Now, the story is, if you have a place, if you have a time where you will reflect, then you will reflect. That's the point. Okay. So think about that bird cage. If you have a bird cage, normally you would get a bird. Okay. So if you have a place where you will think, then you will do it. And I love this statement: don't lose today while you're looking for tomorrow. Okay. Now, many of us are future oriented. Okay. What's going to happen tomorrow? What I'm going to do tomorrow? What I will do this tomorrow. But we fail to look back and lose the valuable lessons of the day. Isn't that right? Okay. I'm guilty of this because I'm a more future oriented person. Okay. So that means I would look, I mean, after every experience, my thought would already jump, what's next? What's next? What's next? What are we going to do next? What are we going to do to follow through and so on? And this is very true to me and maybe very true to many of you, that we lose today while we are preparing or looking for tomorrow. So let's not be guilty of this. You see, there are so many lessons that this day has brought us. God did not just bring us and make us experience what we experience today for nothing. But if we lose today because we're already in the tomorrow, then there's also something wrong. Now, there's nothing wrong with preparing for tomorrow. Okay. But what we're just saying is don't lose today while you're looking for tomorrow. Another thing is pausing with intention expands and enriches our thinking process, our thinking. Now, here's something that we should learn from. After an important experience, okay, of course, not everything, but important experience, do we reflect on that important experience? Okay. It may be a good experience, it may be a bad experience, it may be a memorable experience, it may be an experience that we don't want to remember anymore because it's too embarrassing. But after those experiences, what do we do with those important experiences? Now, here are three questions that we can ask ourselves every time we have an important experience. One is, what did I feel? Okay. What did I feel? You know, it's very important to acknowledge your emotion, your feelings. Now, maybe for ladies, okay, this is quite easy because ladies, okay, are emotional beings, right? While men are naturally, we are logical beings. That means when you say, for example, when you talk to a man, okay, when somebody tells him, you're stupid, okay, you're stupid. The man would normally calculate and say, I'm not that stupid. Okay, I do this. Yeah. And eventually, the man would just forget. But when you tell a woman you're stupid, she will feel that, and she will remember that for 20 years because that's how she feels. That the words become emotions. Now, that's why women are more emotionally intelligent than men because men normally would ignore their feelings to the point, guys, brothers and sisters, there are more men now going through anxiety attacks, depression because of suppressed emotions. Okay, from a young age, we were taught, no, you should, boys don't cry. Okay, they don't show a lot of emotion. So men normally would suppress their emotions. They would not acknowledge it. They would not say, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm disappointed. So that means that emotion is suppressed. And you wouldn't know how to deal with it. But when you ask yourself, okay, I'm I'm sad. That's it. And you will have to deal with it. Okay? You acknowledge your emotions because you are an emotional being, even if you're a man. Okay? This is very important. Again, I've seen even pastors. Okay, pastors are not exempted because pastors are also human beings. Pastors who go through anxiety attacks. And of course, many people will judge him. "Oh, you're a pastor? And then you're suffering from anxiety attack? Is it not lack of faith? Is it not lack of prayer? Is it not lack of, uh, walk with God or something?" But when there's something wrong if we fail to acknowledge our emotions. So what did I feel? No, I'm not saying you should dwell on your emotions, but you at least acknowledge it so that you know how to manage it. You know how to deal with it. If you're sad, I'm sad. Okay. And then I will ask for prayers. I will ask for help. I will ask for support. Don't just say, okay, nothing. Okay. I don't feel anything, even if you're breaking down inside. Okay. So what did you feel? Acknowledge your feeling. What do you think? It's about thinking process. Okay. What's happening? Okay. What happened? What just happened here? So this is how the experience went. So this is now the logical way of thinking it, of processing it, of looking at things, of that looking at that experience. What do I think? Okay. Now, of course, for men, they would focus on what do I think. For women, they would focus on what do I feel, but it should be balanced. Okay, men should work on the first question, while women should also improve on the second question. So, what do I feel? What did I feel? What do I think? And what do I know? Now, the third one is also important because it now gives you the lessons of that experience. What did you learn? Okay. What are the valuable insights that you get out of that experience? So if it's a bad experience, you've committed a mistake, what do you need to do so that it will not be repeated? What do you need to do so that it will not recur? What do you need to do so that you will not embarrass yourself again? What do you need to do so that you can pass it on to others? Hey, this is what I experienced and it's not good. I felt so embarrassed. I felt like, I wanna hide somewhere. But that experience has produced something valuable. Okay. So let's not waste those experiences, brothers and sisters in Christ, because these are important things. When we reflect on them, when we acknowledge how we feel, how we think, and the lessons that we get out of those experiences, they become what we say wisdom, insights that we can pass on to other people. So the fruit of reflection is wisdom to share. Is it not worth the the doing? Is it not worth doing that when you begin to reflect, when those experiences become insights and insights become wisdom, you are now ready to pass it on to others. You are now ready to share it with other people. Wow. So not all old people or mature people are wise people. Many old people, they did not learn from their experience because they failed to reflect and they failed to get the fruit of reflection, which is wisdom. Now, every political leader who had an impact on history practiced the discipline of solitude, thinking and planning. So that's a fact, okay? Name a political leader who had an impact in history, and you will see a man who would always find a place where he can reflect, where he can think, and where he can plan. Okay? Next, when you take time to pause, use your eyes. Okay, so these are the eyes. I think this is in your um workbook. Okay, investigation, finding meaning in your experience. So finding out, okay, not just what happened to me, but what happened in me, right? Many times we just focus on the what happened to me, and that makes us bitter, makes us angry at other people, makes us um, just negative. But finding meaning in that experience requires investigation. What happened in me? Not just what happened to me, okay? But what really happened in me? Next is incubation. It's like we call it meditation, right? When we meditate, when we, you know, um, try to think about the experience and how it will grow and how it will affect us. When we meditate, that's what we call incubation. Uh, the word here is crock pot cooking. It's like slow cook. Let it simmer. Let it let the meat become more tender because of slow cooking. That's incubation. That's when you think it over. Okay, meditate, muse about it. The third one is illumination. This is now the process where you have the aha moments, the experiences, the things that happened, not just happened to me, but happened in me, is now turned into aha moments when you see valuable lessons, when you see insights, when you see things that you haven't seen at the beginning of that experience, when you connect it with a greater purpose, when you connect it with your relationship with God, when you connect it with your mission. So those are the aha moments. And then illustration. We begin to expand those experiences to become teachable lessons. You know, it's very important if you're a pastor or if you're a preacher or a speaker to have illustrations, right? And the best illustrations would come from your personal experience. When you share what happened and how that experience, whether good or bad, whether happy or sad, has turned into something valuable, something that you can get valuable lessons from. And now those experiences, even if those are bad experiences, okay, you see, if you just focus on what happened to me, you will blame others, you will blame God, you will blame your circumstances. But what happened in me, then you pass on, you learn, and you pass on those lessons to others, and those what we call illustration. Okay, the process of expanding your experiences to teachable lessons. Good questions are at the heart of reflection. Successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers. So, what we want to emphasize here is when we do reflection, you should ask the right questions. Okay, ask the right questions. Just like the questions I've shown you a while ago. What do I feel? What do I think? What do I know? Okay. So when you ask better questions, you get better answers. Yeah. It's like, garbage in, garbage out. So it's important to ask good questions. So better questions, they're like gold that you can mine from your experiences. So for example, here are just some examples of questions that you can ask yourself about your personal growth. For example, if you are into personal growth, you can ask yourself, what have I learned today that will help me grow and that I can apply in my life? When should I apply it? Okay. So those are questions. If you want to add value to others, you can ask yourself at the end of the day, to whom did I add value today? Okay. Um, and next is for leadership. Did I lead by example today? No, I'm not going to go through all the questions, okay? Because these are just example or sample questions. That when you ask the right questions, you can draw better answers and turn them into reflection, insights, and wisdom. Another set of questions that you might want to ask yourself about personal faith. Have I shared my faith with others today? Have I brought somebody closer to Jesus? Now, many times we cannot just directly and say, "Oh, this is you should do this. You should trust Christ as your Savior." Many people would sometimes don't want a direct confrontation about their faith. But when you every day when you bring them closer to the Lord by showing a good example, by being their friend, by sharing a Bible verse, that's something, no, that can bring them closer to the Lord every day. Or um, this is very important. Did I communicate? This is in the context of, say, marriage or family. Did I communicate love to my family today? Okay. Did I say? Did I show my son, my wife, my family that I love them? Okay. Did they feel it? Did they feel my love for them? Because we're not going to be around forever, right? Here on earth, we're not going to be here for a long time. In fact, we don't even know whether tomorrow we're still around. But the most important thing is we have made them feel and we have communicated our love to those that we love. Okay. Or discoveries that you can learn from. Okay. Now, in your workbook, you have their questions that you can choose, no? But if I may recommend, because I did this, and what I thought will be my answer to these questions, when I started writing them down, sometimes they're different. For example, what's my biggest asset? What's my strength? Okay, what's my strength? Oh, sometimes you will think, oh, this is my strength. But when you take time to really know yourself and ask yourself, and when you write it down, you may find out that it's different from what you thought. Okay, or what's my biggest liability or my weakness, or what is my highest high or my lowest low, what is my worthwhile emotion, what is my least worthwhile emotion. Now these are very important because um for example, what's my highest high, what's what have I what's my the highest point in my life. Okay, so you begin to think about it. What's the highest point in my life, and what's the lowest point in my life? So you now know the highest and the lowest. So if you dwell on the lowest point of your life all the time, then you will begin to feel sorry for yourself. Okay. But when you begin to dwell on the highest point of your life, then you will also begin to become arrogant and proud and boastful. And, yeah, it seems like you're better than other people. So the goal here to stay on the middle. Okay. How you will manage your high and lows and so on. Okay. So try it. Okay. You will be surprised. Don't just answer in your mind, but try to write it down. And you will be surprised that after a while, you think about yourself. It's all about awareness. You will realize that your answer in your mind, what we call the first thought comes in, may not be the final answer when you try to write it down. All right. The wise person, this is very interesting. I hope you will all see this. The wise person questions himself. The fool, others. Okay? If you're wise, instead of questioning others, you will question yourself because that's when you discover all these things that you need to deal with in yourself. Okay? The journey is worth the trouble. So we are now on the final part of our lesson. Peter Drucker, the guru of modern management, says follow effective action with quiet reflection. From the quiet reflection will come a more effective action. What does that mean? When you did something right, something effective, reflect on it, ponder upon it, meditate, okay? Turn them into valuable insights and lessons. And it will lead to more effective actions in the future. Well, that's good. Okay, those are good words. Now, here's something that I'd like to share, even if you're not a pastor, but especially if you're a pastor. If you're speaking, if you're a pastor, sometimes you just speak here and there. Okay, you have 3 to 4 times speaking engagements in a week, and sometimes more. Many times, um, again, including myself, we fail to realize that there should be a treasure chest of wisdom. That means illustrations. I've been teaching and preaching for quite a while now, maybe 20 years. If only I filed and I kept and I filed everything that I use as an illustration, I would have what I call a treasure chest of wisdom that I can pull out anytime. And then I talk about leadership. So these are the leadership quotes, these are the leadership stories, these are the leadership illustrations that I can use. Now, it's not yet too late for us, okay? But what I'm saying is, out of those experiences, out of those insights, and uh, uh, from the reflection, when we write them down, okay, please don't trust your memory. I'm the first one who will have to discourage you to do that. If we just take time, you reflect, you turn experiences into insights and to wisdom, and then you write it down, it becomes like a treasure chest of wisdom that you can just pull out anytime. Oh, I need to talk about leadership. I need to talk about soul winning. I need to talk about death. I need to talk about finances. So these are the things that I can use as illustrations. It's worth the trouble. That's what we're saying. Reflection is not a waste of time. That's why leaders stop treating reflection like a luxury. Okay. That means, okay, we'll be too busy doing things, activities, business, and treat reflection as if it's the least important activity that we should do. It's not. Okay. Because out of those things that we will, reflect on, it can become insights and wisdom and illustration that we can pass on to others. So just this is quite long. I don't have time to discuss this, but why leaders need to self reflect. Okay, you can screenshot this or something. That yeah, to keep burnout in check, right? If we fail to reflect, we are prone for burnout. To clarify our priorities, sometimes we spread ourselves too thin. Yes, there, yes, there, yes, there, and we don't know our priorities. We don't know. Oh no, I am not giving time to my family, to my spouse. So we just say yes to everything. But when you pause, it will clarify your priorities. It will strengthen your authenticity. It will uncover your blind spots. It will improve your decision making. It will understand your impact. You will be able to understand your impact on others and to learn from your wins and losses. Okay, I win here. In our future lessons, um, we will see that sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. Okay, that's important to remember. Sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. All right. So it's not just about running and being busy, it's about reflecting. This is very important. Now, one of the important things I'd like to share this with you. One of the most important lessons that I learned about reflecting is when I begin to reflect and meditate, um, it's like this phrase that we have here. No matter where life takes you, don't forget where you came from. You know, right now, I'm sometimes being asked to be a resource person for government procurement. I have 150, 200 people listening to me and, wanting to learn about what I have to offer. And then I would sometimes, say, wow, I mean, uh, uh, um, it seems like I have accomplished a lot. But when I reflect, okay, when you begin to reflect, where did I start? Where did I really start? And then I go back to Calvary Baptist Church 30 years ago, where I was just, you know, a young man at that time, just trying to make a difference for God, just trying to make his life count for the Lord. And I was given the opportunity to teach, to teach the young people, to teach Sunday school, eventually to preach. That's where I started. So it keeps you grounded. It makes you realize I should not be too proud. I should not be too high that I cannot go back to where I came from. In fact, this is where blessing, when I go to Mindanao and share the lessons there with just a few people, with some young people, it reminds me this is where I started. So I should not be too big for these things because this is where I started. So no matter where life takes you, don't forget where you came from. And this is a product of reflection. Now we're now um, going to the last part of our lessons. Look at this. This is Portia Nelson's autobiography in 5 short chapters. Really interesting. It's just an autobiography, but in just five short chapters. I just read it to you, okay? Chapter one. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I still don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place. It isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. It's my fault. I know where I am. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street. You know, sometimes it just takes reflection so that we can protect ourselves from committing the same mistake and hurting ourselves over and over again. Sometimes it just takes a few chapters to figure out I need to walk down a different way. I need to take a different route. I need to walk down a different street. If we have time, it would be, I would want us to really digest this and see the wisdom that reflection can do to us. Just like this autobiography in five short chapters. But many of us still fall on the same ditch, the same hole over and over and over again, hence hurting ourselves in the end. Reflection is just like this. The power of reflection is you come to a point that you say, I better walk down a different street. That's the lesson I have learned. I will end with this um, verse in Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. The Bible tells us, think, reflect on these things. So, in your workbook, you have here overcoming growing pains. Make it a top priority to find a place and the time for personal reflection. Schedule time. Don't hope to find time. Schedule it. Okay. And then go over this activity and it will benefit you. Now for our discussion questions, here are four. Okay. The first two are actually answerable by yes or no. So the first question is, um, do you have a place where you consistently and effectively pause and reflect? A place. So it's a yes or no. The second question is, do you have a scheduled time when you have to pause and reflect? A time. And then the third question is whether it's a yes or a no, especially if it's a no. If your answer is a no to both questions, how would you want to start applying the law of reflection to your life? Turning experiences into insights and um, wisdom. And here's the last one. I'm sure now we can do this in 15 minutes. I'm sure you don't mind if we just extend a little bit. What's the biggest obstacle that could hinder you from applying the law of reflection to your life, and how do you plan to overcome it? Okay, maybe it's about not seeing the value of the reflection. So how do you plan to overcome it? We have seen the law of reflection, the power of reflection. It's learning to pause. Learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. Back to you, Omairel.